Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to Hammer Away. This is Viking Stew. As you can see on the screen today, we're going to be releasing The Beast with Chris O'Brien of Blackwood. This dude has got a powerful voice. I dig it. This EP, I dig it. So let's get into it.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
All right, and away we go. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris O'Brien.
What's up? Glad to be here, man.
Man, I am glad to have you here. I've been listening to this Release Me EP. I listened to it like, I don't know. I don't think it's overboard to say I listened to it like 5 times in the last 36 hours, probably, or more in the last 36 hours.
Oh, wow. Heck yeah. I'm glad it wasn't just a one and done for you.
No, definitely not. Especially, might I add, I just learned of a new band to me, and they're from Australia. And why can't I say the name now? Damn it! It's like Koritny. That's the name of it. You ever heard?
Okay,
of it?
I haven't.
Damn, powerful band, and I'm not drawing a big correlation going, you guys sound a lot like that, or they sound a lot like it. Not that's not my point. My point is rock ain't dead.
Yeah.
Let's just make that a point. And our buddy Gene Simmons knew that when he said it. He just said it to make a headline. So
it made one too.
I love you, man, but knock it off. God, just like all their other fucking headline makers, you know. Ooh, Gene's pissed at Ace. Ace pissed at Gene. And then like 3 months later, Ace and Gene worked together on a song. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So anyway, I just got into this band Koritny. So they like to cover songs. And I think that's a great thing. Lots of bands do that. Burning Witches is another great one that loves to do that. And it's the Standing on the Shoulders of Giants tribute kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
We wouldn't be here today without that. But you guys do a great cover of Rise by The Cult. And
thank you.
You know, EPs, they're shorter. So when I got onto that, I was like, okay, cool. So is this the last song? And then I'm like, no, there's the title track after that. So I'm going to shut up and we're going to talk about the band and this release, because this is a great EP release. So tell me, I'm going to put this picture up, and this is just going to be a preview of, there's the band. I've got a few different shots too, and we'll talk about the band a little bit here in a minute. But tell me about yourself. Tell me where you are, and tell me about how you got into doing this amazing, powerful voice that you have in this band.
Well, to start with me, where I'm at, I'm in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee. I'm in a town called McMinnville. There's not really much going on here at all. I kind of like it that way, but we have a lot of trees. Middle Tennessee is kind of the nursery capital of the world, and inside of that, McMinnville is the nursery capital of Tennessee. But that's about all that we have. We got a McDonald's and a Taco Bell. But and you know, a few red lights, whatever. But I like this area because it's about an hour and a half to 2 hours from pretty much every, you know, kind of major metropolis area. I'm 45 minutes away from Murfreesboro, where Blackwood is founded. Even though we're a Nashville band, we our headquarters is in Murfreesboro. Hour and a half from Nashville, 2 hours from Knoxville, hour and a half from Chattanooga. So I'm away from it all, but I can get there quickly if I need to.
That's right.
And as far as how I got into this, goodness, it started at a young age. From what I'm told, from the age of 4, I would hear jingles, advertisements on the TV, and I would go run over to our little half-broken piano in the entryway in Wisconsin, and I would key out the notes on the piano and make the jingle.
Wow.
And I was always singing, probably much to the chagrin of anybody around me, because I never stopped. And then I got my start as I think a lot of youths do in church. I actually joined a church worship team,
Wow,
and
there you go.
but before I kind of started to walk a different path spiritualistically,
Hmm.
that was all that I did. I was in a Christian metal band for several years, and then I was just in a regular metal band that was just me and a drummer for about 13 years, and
Wow.
we never did a thing. We had a bunch of songs, but I think in 13 years we played like we played like 3 shows, and one of them was just in some dude's basement. Um, but
Well, you
how
guys
Blackwood
gotta do
got
something.
started, yeah, how Blackwood started, it's kind of a wild story. David Dix, our drummer, he used to be my boss at a big box retail corporation that I won't name. We were both in management, and he was my direct supervisor. And I knew that he played the drums. I knew he was a phenomenal drummer, and I
Yeah,
really, really liked his groove and his style and
yeah.
just his look. And he knew that I was a singer because I would always sing in the back room of the big box retail.
Yeah.
But nothing, it never clicked with us that we should do anything together. So it wasn't until we both left Walmart that I reached out to him. I think I saw a post. He owns Red Feather Recording Studios in Murfreesboro.
Yeah.
Records a lot of artists there, and he was posting something that he was in the studio. And I was like, "Hey, if you ever need like a feature singer or a feature guitarist,
Yeah.
hit me up. I'd love to work with you." And a couple days later, he sent me some tracks, and he was like, "Hey, go wild with these." I was like, "Okay," and it was guitar, bass, drums, but nothing else. I was like, "Do you have ideas, or what do you want me to do?" He's like, "Whatever you want to do, just go nuts." I
Wow.
said, "Okay." So I pulled it into my little home studio, and I just started singing with the record button on. And about 45 minutes later, I sent him back what turned into be the finished song, "Inundated One." We re-recorded it, professionally in the studio and had it
Yeah.
off sent to be mastered. But as far as the structure and the lyrics, the melodies, everything like that, that was birthed in 45 minutes, 45 miles apart.
Wow. Now so this leads me to the crazy thought. The only David Dix I know is from the Outlaws.
No, it would be no relation, I don't think.
That's really wild. I'm just like,
That is crazy. I've never heard anybody put that connection together.
like he's a drum because I met him here in St. Louis when Outlaws came through here.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah, because I was like, wait a minute.
It's like I know that name.
And I'm like, I'm not jumping into this. Okay, let me tell you a little quick story. I was uh the Knack. The Knack came out with an album in 1990 with it's called Serious Fun. It's a fantastic record all the way through, and their drummer was Billy Ward. Now, the DJ on Keishi, I couldn't believe, said this. He goes, "Well, it looks like they got the drummer from Black Sabbath, and he's now going by Billy Ward." I'm like, oh my God. Shouldn't you ask yourself one quick question,
Yeah,
before you say that? Shouldn't you go, well, that's Billy Ward. Certainly that's not Bill Ward. But you're like,
right.
before you say the Black Sabbath drummer is now, who's kind of a gentlemanly kind of guy,
Yeah,
would be going
just
by Billy and joining the Knack.
just think for a second before you say the things.
Take a second. So I took my second and I looked it up real quick, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. This isn't the same one, right?
Yeah.
Unless he's holding things from you. I don't know. It's going to come out later and be like, oh, shit. Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. So anyway, drummers, same name. That's okay. That's maybe they're all like that. Maybe they're cloning them.
That's the only way to procreate drummers.
And one of them is going to change. He's going to be like, he's going to revolt. Now I want to play guitar. You are a drummer. Bred you to
It's
be a drummer.
not so much as cloning as they just take little bits of DNA from animal from the Muppets, and they just intertwine it into the DNA of children, and that's how we grow the next generation.
That's it. That is it. I've got animal around here somewhere. Oh, here he is, right here. He fell down. So
Heck yeah.
wait, don't get any ideas. It's not me doing it. I'm not doing it. Because I have
Animal, also known as Shane Larkin.
These things happen. Well,
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's fantastic, dude. Wow. That's how I kind of got started playing too. Was in a church setting is what happened. So
Yeah, it
that's
was wild. I never wanted to be a singer, funnily enough. My
I
my
never would.
stepdad when I was about uh, I think I was about 8 or 9,
Yeah.
he gave me his Samick half scale. It looked like a Fender Telecaster, but it was a Samick half scale guitar, perfect for,
Wow.
9-year-old fingers.
What
And he
color was it?
taught me how to play a power chord.
Of
And
course.
I would just hit power chords everywhere up and down the neck. It didn't sound like anything through an old PV combo amp with a
Yeah.
blown speaker, and I would just do it for hours. And then on my
Built-in
13th
distortion.
birthday, they got me a what was it? It was a Kramer Focus Stratocaster, and they paid for me a year of classical guitar lessons and about 6 months of guitar lessons from a guy who taught me how to play lead, in Sparta, Tennessee. And that was all I wanted to do. And then I started doing background vocals in church. And then when I joined the Christian rock band,
Mm.
uh, their lead singer left, and they were like, "Well, Chris, you can sing. Why don't you be the lead singer? You're the best of us." And I was like,
How'd you feel at that time about it?
I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to be in front. I
Really?
didn't want people I didn't want people to look at me. I didn't want to be the center of attention. Kind of like the guitars from Clutch. I just wanted to hang out, write cool riffs, and just kind of hang out by the amps, towards the back. Maybe
Okay.
step up front for a guitar solo here and there, but
Yeah.
it just kind of so happened that
Yeah.
every room that I was in, they all, outside of my objections, decided that I was the best singer in the room, and I kept on being put as the singer. And I always wrote songs, so I mean, I guess it made sense, but I
Yeah.
guess reluctant destiny is what I'll call it.
Well, I mean, when everybody gets to listening to this to Blackwood's Release Me EP, I mean, they're going to be like, you did. That's what kills me is when I hear that from people who I'm like, that dude's killing it, and then I'm because I've always wanted to be a singer. I remember putting the album sleeve up once I got to know the album, and I put the album sleeve up on the shelf. Probably drove my family nuts, and I just downstairs sing. I had a voice, but I didn't have any technique. So,
Yeah.
but I knew when it wasn't right. And, but, now I sing in a band. I got a 3-piece and I sing in that and play bass.
Oh,
So,
heck yeah.
yeah. So,
It's just
but,
one of those things,
yeah.
like me as a person, I'm, I guess, very reclusive,
Hmm.
um, introspective. I think that has something to do with I like my lyrics, and I think a lot of people resonate with my lyrics. Some people
Hmm.
just listen to us because we're kind of heavy and we got cool riffs, and I've
Yeah.
got a decent voice or a
Yeah.
cool tone, a
Yeah.
little gravelly.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that I think they really resonate with the lyrics, and I
Yeah.
think that comes from a place of humility, and you can't find that if you're egotistical and you want to be the center of attention, because
Yeah.
I don't think a majority of people out there are that.
Mm.
So I think the majority of the people that I find just, in day-to-day life, they're like me. They're more introspective, they're more reserved, until you get to know them, they're not really going to go all crazy. So they resonate with lyrics written from that, as opposed to just, I'm the king of the world, bow
Right.
down to me type stuff.
Right.
But it's been a fun journey. I just wanted to be a lead guitarist, and now here I am. I'm a front man and a rhythm guitarist. Although I do leads. I think early on we coined halfway coined the term co-guitarist is what we called, just so there wasn't any egos involved.
Right.
But
Right. I mean,
just the way that
especially if,
the way that
yeah.
we looked at solos
Yeah.
was, does it's not I want to do this solo. It's
Mm.
whose style best fits this song, or who could do the solo that would do the song justice. And that's the
Yeah.
way we always looked at it when we were writing these
Yeah.
solos. And some of our songs don't have solos because sometimes they don't need it. If the guitar needs to speak, that's fine, but otherwise I
Yeah.
can take care of it
Yeah.
vocally.
And I really dig, these days, I really dig that bands are going back to, not that it's I don't know how to say it. I don't think it's a necessary thing, and but it's something that I like to highlight when I'm looking at these songs, that a lot of bands like yours right now are kind of going towards that um mindedness, that that's as long as the song needs to be. Like your
Yeah,
first track is under Deliver off of this Release Me EP is 2 minutes and 52 seconds.
yeah,
The next one is just over three. It's not even 3:10. It's and it's great that way. I think it's great.
yeah. That's I mean, we look at it. It's at the very bottom of the list of importance, but we do look when we're writing a song. How long is this? Are we going to lose people? But we don't. It's not of like the utmost importance to us. You go down further in the list. Release Me. It's pushing.
It
What was it,
pushes
5.5 minutes,
almost 5.
something like that,
Yeah,
or
and you got
almost
four and a
five.
half on Best I Never Had.
So sometimes I got a little bit more to say, or we feel like the song has a little bit more to say. And if it's not boring and it doesn't seem like we're just trying to write a 6 minute song just because what needs to be 6 minutes, that's
Mhm.
fine. If a song can be 2 minutes and 45 seconds and have the same amount of investment from a listener or from us playing the song, that's fine. Because I tell you, when I'm up on that stage, I don't care if it's our 2 minute 45 second song or if it's our 6 minute song. They feel the same length because they have a certain intensity and a certain sort of adventure to them. Like the longer ones, we like to take you on a little bit of a journey. We want to build up to things, let things breathe a little bit. The shorter ones are generally, we have a very short statement we're going to hit you with as quick as we can, and then it's over with. But regardless, it's still a journey for the listener. It's still a journey for us performing the songs, and that's what's important to me is the song. I don't really care about, oh well, if the song's not at 132 BPM and it's at 2 minutes and 30 seconds exactly, and you hit the chorus 6 times,
Right.
it's not going to go viral. I don't really care about virality. I care about
Yeah.
those a few secluded conversations with fans that came up to me and said that song really, it means something to me. Thank you for that.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
that's why I do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's great to have those songs that are shorter after playing live for many years, that you start
Yeah,
knowing and listening to interviews with other musicians, whether it's David Cassidy or it's Sammy Hagar. You're like, you start learning that you can let a 3-minute song breathe a little bit if it's got a cool little spot in it and the crowd
yeah.
is into it, and you can go back and forth a little bit and draw it out a little bit. But that's a natural thing that you feel when you're doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like regardless of what you're doing, you're taking somebody on a trip auditorily,
You are.
and it can be really easy to just write throwaway songs and write
Mm-hmm.
throwaway riffs and throwaway lyrics. It doesn't matter, just say something and spit it out and feed the algorithm.
Right.
Whatever the case is with any other bands, I wish them success. This is a difficult industry to begin with. If that's how anybody else wants to have their success, that's absolutely fine with me. That's the way the system works. But
Right.
myself, not saying it's a better way, but it's a different way. I want to write songs that are meaningful. I will never
Mm-hmm.
purposefully write a song that has no personal meaning. And we do have some songs that they're more about excitement or partying or
Yeah.
good times in a bedroom with a lady.
Yeah. Yeah.
But even those songs, they're telling more. If you look at the grand scheme of all the songs that I've written, it's a full story. And really, we mentioned it before we started.
Yeah.
That entire album is really about the human condition and the human experience and toxic relationships and finding yourself through trauma and through pain and really elevating yourself forward. I mean, Release Me, the idea of that song was from basically my broken relationship with my father and
Mm-hmm.
the longing to try to fix that relationship.
Wow.
And unfortunately, you know, I didn't have time before
Mm-hmm.
he passed.
Yeah.
But just release me, and it wasn't so much about my father releasing me as opposed to me releasing myself from what other people thought of me, what he thought of me, what I thought of him, that we loved each other. And it just doesn't make sense sometimes, us as humans, two people, not just father and son, mother and father, or just relationships. Two people can love each other and be saying the same thing, but it will never come out right. And that's what I like to explore. And sometimes that comes out in songs that sound fun, but if you dig a little bit deeper, there's a warning in there as well.
That's wild. Interesting. Well, then tell us. Let's talk about the band real quick, and then we'll get into those songs real quick here. And
Yeah.
so here we have our first shots. Tell us about the band we got here.
All right. So this is the quartet that we got. In the on the far left there, that is Keith White, founding member. Steve Burgess, founding member. Just on my left there, with the long hair. Steve Burgess was actually a founding member of the '90s band Screaming Cheetah Wheelies.
Screaming Cheetah Wheelies, man, I'm a big fan.
And then we got David Dix over there on the right.
Not of the Outlaws.
Not of the Outlaws. No,
You
no.
sure he's not a junior?
No, I've met his dad. They're definitely, his dad's name's Roger. He's not a junior.
Maybe an uncle? I don't know. Yeah, I named him after his uncle. So yeah.
But Steve, Keith, and David, they had a lot of material already. They were in a previous project together with a different singer, and the great pause of 2020 happened, and it kind of just came to a stall. They weren't really doing anything, and they had a lot of material. Keith and David specifically, they wanted to get together. They're like, come on, we got to do something. So they started jamming and writing some riffs, such as like Inundated One that we actually turned into a Blackwood song. Then they brought Steve in, and then I already told you the story about Inundated One. After that, they asked me if I wanted to come jam. The other two guys didn't know that I could play the guitar. I just showed up with a guitar. And we jammed for, I don't know, 3-4 hours. And
do you remember what your guitar was?
Oh yes, the guitar that I brought, I actually don't have it anymore, but it was a totally blacked out Gothic Gibson Explorer.
Oh wow! Wow,
that's the one that I brought.
They don't know you're a guitar player, and you show up with an Explorer. It's like, he's a guitar player.
Yeah, actually, the Explorer is my favorite guitar. Probably just because Metallica and James Hetfield have been my idols since before I was born. Honestly, Mom used to put her headphones on her belly when she was pregnant with me and play Metallica songs. She said I would kick like crazy. But now I'm exclusively Paul Reed Smith. That's all I play. I've got a Tremonti. I've got a Tremonti single cut, and then I've got a cherry charcoal sunburst double cut that I use for standard tuning. But yeah, I kind of was ESP for a long time, and then Dean for a while, and then I tried Gibson. They were okay, they're great guitars for what they are, but I've never found a brand like Paul Reed Smith that I can just pick one up off of the shelf from the factory and I don't have to do anything to it. It's just set up.
They are feel-good guitars, man. They are. It's just got a great weight to it. It's got a great feel to it. It's got a great look. I mean, those are beautiful guitars. Beautiful guitars.
They've always been my favorite. But where were we? We were talking about Release Me or something, weren't we?
Well, I asked you the question about what guitar you took in.
Oh, yeah.
And they had all the material. They
my
didn't know you were a guitar
Explorer.
player.
Yeah, so I showed up. Keith kind of raised his eyes a little bit, and we jammed. And then, David was like, well, what do you think? I was like, are we going to do this again? And we were just supposed to be, we decided as a group, let's just jam some riffs. We're in a professional recording studio. Let's just record them, throw them out to the ether, and have some fun with it. Wow. And then we started sending Inundated One out to some of the, the Nashville scene locals that we got around here, and we got a show offer.
Wow.
And we had a problem because the show was in a few months, and we'd not named ourselves. Because we were just having fun in the studio. I think we went by the moniker KDSC, Keith, David, Steve, Chris.
Right. And we musicians all know how much we love coming up with a name for a band.
Yes, and we went months just whittling down lists of potential names, and we had it
Wow.
down to two. One of them I won't say, and the other one was Blackwood. And it came down to David put it to me this way. He's like, just pretend that you're the band member and I'm a fan that just heard you play. Introduce yourself to me.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, I'm Chris. I'm from this other one. And I said, okay, well, let me try Blackwood. I said, hey, I'm Chris from Blackwood. And I said, all right, that's the one.
That's the one.
That's the one. And it's actually funny. It's a road in Nashville here.
Okay.
And when I used to work in Nashville, and I would drive down and I'd see it all the time. And I remember I took a picture of it once and I sent it to Keith. I was like, is this where you got the name? He's like, yep, passed it every day for 10 years.
It was emblazoned in my head. I'm like, God.
Yeah, it was actually funny. The EP released me. It was actually produced by or mastered by Brad Blackwood.
Oh
Um,
my.
he who does Alter Bridge and Seven Dust and things like
Yeah.
that. We sent it off to him, and I think it was the last Alter Bridge album came out, and it just sounded phenomenal. And we were like, who mastered that? And so it was Brad Blackwood. I was like,
Weird.
I wonder how much he charges.
Everything. Can we afford that?
Yeah. It
Yeah.
it was pretty comparable to what we were already paying for mastering. So
Wow.
it's pretty great.
Well, it's like I say, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
You're like,
Sometimes it's just too obvious to deny that.
it is. It really is. You're like, seriously? I love the sound of that, and we can have them on the oh yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then everybody's going, so did you name it after your you're like, no. It was already there. It was already there.
Yeah.
I'm going to put this up. Here is the album cover for the EP for Release Me. And tell me about this album cover here.
So this was actually it took a little while. This comes from the brain of David. Actually, I described to him um, what the total lyrics of the album were about, because
Mm.
I think we jokingly called Release Me a semi-concept album because the songs almost in order kind of loosely tell a story about a toxic relationship from beginning to end.
Interesting.
And I kind of explained to him the things that were going on, the
Yeah.
personal connections to the lyrics. And he just had this image in his head of some stoic, blackened creature being, held down by chains, looking like it wanted to break out. And
Wow.
we sent it off to some graphic designers, and we got this one back. And I was like, that is the one. That is perfection.
It is great. I love it. I love it. It's great. Now, who came up with the logo? I'm a graphic designer myself, and I always, I sometimes like because I do all my artwork for my different bands and for the show and all that stuff. So
That would be Mr. David Dix. I would call him a jack of all trades, master of none, but I
that
think that would be a disservice to him. I
yeah,
think
you
it's
can call
more
me that.
bordering on master of trades or jack of all trades, master of all
Master of
trades.
all trades.
Because he records and mixes all of our albums to get it ready for mastering.
Wow.
He designs all of our lighting. He designed all of the branding for the band. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, we have discussions about it, and he'll send it back and forth. But um, it's kind of a cool dynamic,
Yeah.
especially creatively with
Yeah.
David, because creatively I just trust his opinion and his vision for things, and they almost always line up with what my vision is.
Yeah.
But even further than that, musically, you don't generally get a lot of input from a drummer on anything outside of the rhythm.
Right.
And David has just, and he'll probably kill me for bragging on him so much, but he has such a phenomenal ear for melodies and for harmonies and for phrasing.
Yeah.
Um, to when I'm recording vocals in the studio, I may be stumped trying to find a harmony or decide
Yeah.
whether a line needs a harmony or anything like that, and he'll come up with something, and be like, "Why don't you try this?" And I was, yeah, let's go for it. And 9 times out of 10, that's what it needed. So
Wow.
I have almost an undying trust for David's ear and his vision.
Well, tell me, since you have that, uh, about David. Tell me about your other two members, and tell me a little bit about between you, what you see in them. What are their great aspects of the other guys in the band?
Well, we get to a little bit of a bum note, but unfortunately, a few weeks ago, we did part ways with Keith and Steve.
Oh, okay.
We're just it's time to go a new direction. We have auditions at the end of
Okay.
this month, and we're gonna pick up the ball and get right back to it, and hopefully get some shows. Get ready to do some shows at the end of the year. If
Good.
not, we're just gonna stick in the studio and get some new music recorded. But both Keith and Steve are just incredibly impressive musicians and incredibly impressive people. Me and Keith, we would bounce riff ideas off of each other like crazy. He would come in with just these just off the wall riffs, and it was wild. We had very different upbringings
Hmm.
musically, as far as on the guitar, where I was more stapled in heavier metal, from Metallica to Slipknot, Trivium, In Flames, Godsmack, uh, or Lamb of God,
Yeah.
a little bit heavier things.
Yeah.
His forte was more, yeah, Motley Crue, Van Halen,
Yeah.
80s, hair metal, things like that. Even though he
Yeah.
did have some thrash roots as well, but I think it gave us a really cool sound
Hmm.
because I think we did a good job of blending uh, heavy riffs with really cool, tasteful voicings of, maybe some old school rock riffs.
Right.
And
Right.
then solos, like I said before, we never had any egos over solos. It was, hey, do you want to do this one? Yeah, sure, let me try it. If I wasn't feeling it, I would, Keith, you nail this one, and he would nail it. And Steve has a wonderful ear for, like what I was talking about earlier, taking somebody on a journey through the song.
Mm.
He was always awesome with recommendations of, maybe right here we take it down, we let it breathe for a minute so that we can
Yeah.
build it back up, or different things like that.
Yeah.
So the four of us together, what we all created up until this point, I'm extremely proud of it. I wouldn't change any of it
Yeah.
for the world, because uh, I think we created something pretty freaking awesome myself.
Well, yeah, and therein lies the question, which leads to a huge hope that you will meet up with a couple of other guys that are, you know, in, I'm not saying the same, but at least you'd have the same kind of connection, where it's an easy connection.
Yeah, and I will say, I was blown away when we announced it, that we were looking for new members.
Yeah.
The amount of positivity and the amount of shares and the amount of submissions.
Yeah.
Um, but to put a little bit of a caveat on that, we are very picky, and we are looking for something very specific to
Yeah.
us. Blackwood is a family. We want to continue that legacy of us being a family.
Yeah.
We're not just, we don't want a hired gun. We don't want somebody that's gonna, be with us for a short time and then move on to something, that they might think is better. We want somebody that really loves what we're doing, that has faith in what we're doing, and
Mhm.
can go arm in arm with us as we try to elevate this and take it as far as we can take it.
Yeah. Yeah. It all is in that. It's in that huge area of band meetings. I talk about band meetings all the time. I'm like, people, you got to have a band meeting. You got to know
Yeah,
everything, and you got to lay out all the questions before you even get rolling, because you
absolutely.
have to know all the little details, like you were just saying.
Yeah,
It's
you don't want to be playing with some musicians, and 3, 4 months down the road you find out a deal breaker.
Yeah, exactly. Which is what happened with a band I was in. Yeah, they'd been practicing for months. I sat in with them at a tribute show, and they asked me if I wanted to join. I said sure, and that's when we had, I don't know. I was in rehearsals for maybe 3 weeks, almost a month, when one day one of the guys said to the other, "Hey, I think I can get us a gig at this place," and one said, "Well, I can't play outside," and I'm like, "Oh no."
Wow.
Here we go. And he goes, and all I know is as I walked out the door, the other guy's going, "What? You can't play outside?" I'm like, "Band meeting. That's why you have band meetings." You've been
That should
working
be like, you'd think
months,
that'd be the first thing mentioned.
especially if you're doing a Doobie Brothers band, because you're
Oh
like,
goodness, yeah. I've been to
that's
a lot of concerts in my life, and I would say very, very minuscule percentage of them have been inside.
yeah, right, right. So band meetings, and it's rough. I mean, it you start learning every little thing, but you got to know, like you said, you have to know, are you cool with this? Are you cool with this? Are you cool with that? And if they're like, yes, they tick every box, then you're like, okay, that's cool. You're right,
Yeah,
right? You're like, seriously, you're good with all. Okay, just want to make sure.
yeah. I don't want no hesitation allowed. You just tell me
Right.
the truth, and we'll figure out where the coin's gonna fall.
That's it. I looked at a drummer one night here during rehearsal, and I'm like, are you sure you're in? Because if you're not, you can just go now. I got to find another.
Yeah,
I don't have time to rehearse with a
yeah,
different drummer right now.
yep,
If you're not here, just I love you, man, but you can go, and I'll just find another one. So he's like, no, I'm in. I'm like, okay, and then he left. he left.
yep,
He left the gig after
yep.
that. I'm like, ugh, whatever. It's all good. It's all
It's just so
and
hard.
it's just business. That's
Yeah,
the other tough part. You know.
and that can be a pretty pivotal point in a lot of hmm, aspiring musicians when they're looking for a band.
Mm-hmm.
I find out a majority of the time, most aspiring musicians don't understand that it's a business. And I don't like calling it a business. I kind of hate calling it a business, but it is what it is.
It is. Otherwise, you're taking it
So,
personally, and that's not what you should do.
so if you treat it as a business and you want your business to grow, you got to do the things necessary to make your business grow.
Right.
First and foremost, you have to have a sellable product.
Right.
You have to have a product that people want,
Right.
and then the people on your team have to have faith in that product, and
Mm-hmm.
they need to want to push it forward. Uh,
Absolutely.
so so we're gonna find some individuals that shared that, like Keith and Steve did, and we're gonna keep elevating this.
Yeah.
Absolutely love those guys.
Yeah.
Absolutely love everything that we've done so far, and I am super excited to see what we do at the end of this year, and then next year going forward.
Man, that's outstanding. That is outstanding. Let me ask you a little bit. We
Yeah,
got just a couple minutes here. I just want to ask you about a couple of the songs. Um,
absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about Side Chick Vampire. That's a heck of a name. And sometimes as I'm reading it, I'm like, I got it right, right?
You did. You did. So, Side Chick Vampire. Uh, it is a very silly title, and it's got a pretty silly story to go along with it. That was one of the amazing riff master Keith riffs. He just came in one day and he just started, I think, warming up with that. And if you
Wow.
notice, it's in a very odd time signature. We play it straight,
Mm-hmm.
percussion wise, but it's in kind of I think a 5/8, and then chorus goes back into a 4/4. But it
Wow.
was just such a weird sound. And then when he was like, "Well, I thought the verses I would just hang on this low E, and give the vocal room to breathe," and I
Yeah.
started singing some very almost sci-fi type lyrics, I was almost like a supernatural episode, some sort of vampire king. And the original title is like, I don't know what to call this. So the working title, I think, was Psychic Vampire. Because I just, my working lyrics, I always have to have the music first. I
Right.
can't just,
Okay.
some guys, they'll sit down with a pen and paper and they'll write, basically poetry, and then they'll
Yeah.
fit that to music. I cannot do that. If I write a cool lyric down, I'm never
Right.
going to be able to put that to a song.
Gotcha.
So my work, I'll hum a melody, and once I find a melody, I'll just sing random words. And after I got some random words, I'll really kind of go into the structure and figure out what I want to say. But
Mm-hmm.
I was saying all this crazy stuff, and then the working title was Psychic Vampire, and then the lyrics kind of developed into almost a dichotomy between like a supernatural story like that, but really it being a metaphor towards just an extremely toxic relationship. Really, the speaker is the toxic individual who thinks he has 100% control over this lover of his, and he's just going to put this person through misery through his toxicity because he cannot exist without them. So David was like, well, what if instead of psychic vampire, we make it side chick vampire? And I was just like, yeah, let's go with it. It's at least going to be a conversation point. Get somebody to click on the track.
That's outstanding. And then, tell me about how you guys came upon recording a cover of Rise by the Cult.
All right. That is another one. I had never heard that song. I'll be straightforward. As far as the Cult goes, I know the hits,
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we were trying to think of a cover. There was a lot of different things. We wanted to put a cover to recording, and we have got a few covers that we like to do, maybe one per live show. We
Yeah.
had a few in rotation, but none of them really seemed like what we wanted to record. So we're throwing out all kinds of ideas. I think a Prince song got thrown out. Corrosion of Conformity got thrown out. Alice in Chains got thrown out. And then somebody mentioned the Cult, and I was like, really? The Cult? They're like, dude, have you heard one of the later albums? I was like, no.
Sexy.
And they started
Sexy.
they started going through a couple of these songs, and then they got to Rise, and I heard da 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 da, and I was sold. And then he
Yeah.
started singing, and the vocal melody, it was like it wasn't attached to the music. The way that he was singing, it wasn't attached to the beat. He was floating in and around the beat.
Right.
And then the chorus broke open, and it just broke wide and was like this anthemic scream.
Anthemic.
I
Good
was like,
word.
yes.
Good
I
word.
said, this is the song. Let's try to learn that. And the next practice we came in, we'd all learn, our parts. And with the Blackwood treatment, we didn't change a lot about the song. We just maybe added a little bit more distortion to the guitars and gave it a little bit more of a modern, tonality. And of course,
Yeah.
my voice being highly different than his,
Yeah.
it immediately felt like just one of our children. we
Yeah.
just we took our little foster baby that we took from the Cult.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a freaking amazing song. I fell in love with it immediately, and I just wanted to kind of tip my hat to the awesomeness of it.
Yes. Absolutely. It's so great to hear you talk about it that way because it's exactly the way I felt about it when I'm if I was to sit down with a cult with a fan of the Cult, I wouldn't be able to speak as eloquently about them as I would like, or I could talk about
Yeah,
Kiss or somebody else, Iron
yeah,
Maiden, you know, because I don't know all the details of the band, but I've been kind of through the catalog, but not heavily. But that song was added in, I think, after I finished listening to something on Spotify, I think once, and
yeah,
it came on, and I'm like, what Cult song is this? Because
yeah,
you immediately know it's Ian Astbury, but you're like, this song is great. I want to do this in my band. So
yeah. It's
yeah,
just phenomenal.
yeah,
Like you hear the intro and you're like, yeah, what is this? And then he starts singing and you're like, wait a minute. No. It's just so cool. I mean, I
yeah,
feel a little bit silly that I wasn't aware of that record or that
yeah,
song
yeah,
specifically, especially with how much I resonated with it.
yeah.
Um,
Same.
but being late to the party is better than not showing up at all, I guess.
Amen to that. Because at least you're realizing it. And I think about that song. I think when I think about that song, I think about what you said earlier, where you're like, certain songs have to build a little bit. And I think that song does that so well. Like you were
Yeah,
talking about how it starts off this way. It's really sexy. It's a sexy tune. And it just builds right up. And like you said, it gets to that chorus where it's a call to the crowd. It's just uh, yeah, even though it's not like, hey, let's party, it's Rise, but it's like it's that song you're talking about where it's like you have the wings but you can't fly. It's one
yeah.
of those things where it's the words are telling you that you may not you don't have to be everything. You just have to rise. You have to
Yeah.
do what you do.
And that's another reason why it was such an incredible fit for this EP and why it needed to be on the EP, because it's actually another really kind of funny story. we'd recorded several songs. We had an initial EP that we exclusively sell at shows. That they've all been released as singles prior to now.
Gotcha.
Um, but we had a collection of songs left over, and we're like, well, let's do another EP. What do we have left to record? And we looked at the 6 tracks that we had left to record, and I
Yeah.
started looking at the titles and thinking about the lyrics, and I was like, this is almost a story. And David was like, really? I was like, yeah, it is. And then David was the first one to suggest that Release Me be the title track. And I started looking at them. I was like, well, if we put them in this order, so I'll just run through it really quick. You got Deliver, meeting somebody at the bar, having some
Yeah.
fun with them afterwards,
Yeah.
tell them it's going to be a mistake, but doing it anyway. Then Side Chick Vampire, the one party takes complete control in a toxic manner over the other party, and it's almost a parasitic relationship of codependency. Then
I've
you got
seen
Used
that
to Be,
happen. It's
yeah, you got
I've
Used to
not
Be.
been in it, but I've seen it happen with friends, and it's ugly.
It's so common, and it'll destroy everybody in the vicinity. All the mutual friends go,
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
disappears, and you've got to rebuild your whole life.
Yeah.
And then Used to Be is kind of one of the people in the relationship. They leave, they break away from that toxicity, and it's the other party screaming, "What am I supposed to do? You're the only thing that made me better."
Mm.
Then you got You Said, and that tone turns angry.
Yeah.
That you said this was what this was going to be, and you're not here. What the hell?
Right.
And then you go into Rise, and that's where it starts to turn internally as this wasn't you. I did this, and
Yeah.
that's why Rise was very important because that was the beginning of a new era of redemption, recovery,
Mm.
and coping, and then wrapping it all up with Release Me. Finding some sort of closure or catharsis through childhood trauma, or uh, just
Yeah.
interpersonal relationships from childhood that can just weave their roots throughout your entire adult life, and you may not even realize it.
Yeah.
So I think the next chapter of Blackwood is going to be the next step. It's going to be the footnotes of Release Me. It's going to be, we're not going to just accept the fact that we're toxic and we like to bring people down and we don't know how to work on ourselves. It's going to be high energy. It's going to be high octane, and it's going to be catharsis. Let's heal, and let's grow as individuals, and let's change instead of
Right.
just trying to pull everybody down and make them miserable like we are.
Right. And a big hello to Rob. Rob's chiming in, giving some horns, man.
Heck yeah.
Rob has a new album called 21 Gun Salute with his group Cyanide. It's really, really cool. Really
Oh,
cool.
hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'll check that out.
Out there in the Vegas area, if I remember right. Yeah. And
Very cool.
yeah, just had him on the show not long ago. So and yeah, I mean, I think it's really important. There's a big part of that puzzle when people are in those situations and working to get out. There's also a big puzzle. I don't know. It's tough. You need support, and yet at the same time you need to be strong. So there's a weird fine line in there somewhere where
It is,
you
yeah.
can't just cry dependence on everybody. However, you can't just sit there and try to do it by yourself. And I think I bitch about this all the time, where people get out there on Facebook and they're like, "Oh, I feel so bad, I just feel
Yeah.
like I'm alone." And you're like, "Okay, now hold on. You have friends that are going to read this, and they're going to feel like shit because you didn't call them, and they could have talked to you and helped you. Instead,
Yeah.
you're just throwing it out to the wolves. Some of them are going to pick up your scraps. Some of them are going to jump in, and some are going to piss on you because you're
Yeah.
out there whining and moping about all this stuff. And you're like, take it down a notch. Call a friend.
It's difficult because I feel like the majority of people, when they're in trying situations or where they're in toxic relationships or they're toxic or they're ruining things about their lives,
Yeah.
it seems like a lot of people generally try to change for something or someone. I'm going to
Right.
change for my partner. I'm going to change for my child. I'm going to change for my dog. I'm going to change for my job. I don't think you generally find much success in changing unless you want to change for you. It
Right.
sounds super cliche, but like, how are you going to love somebody else if you can't love yourself? If you can't accept the things that you've done,
Mhm.
right or wrong, you
Right.
still did them. They're yours
Right.
to own for whatever they were. And if it was a wrong thing, did you learn from it? And that's kind of my ideology going forward. That I tell my son that
Yeah.
no feeling that you will feel will ever be unique to you. Everybody has felt the feeling that you will feel in your life. You'll feel alone, but you're not.
You're
You'll
not.
never be.
Right.
So we have so many tools now uh, to help us get us out of these dark places. I mean, we
Yeah.
live in pretty dark times now. It's really easy to let the world drag you down. Open social media for more than 10 seconds, and yeah, you're just depressed.
Yeah.
And then
No doubt.
honestly, you turn on the radio and listen to music, and you're depressed.
Yeah.
And I mean, not saying I don't write dark subject matter, but I like to think that regardless of what my subject matter is, I like to put at least some iota of hope in
Yeah.
there, that it's not really this is what reality is, but these were moments in my life that I etched in song.
Yeah. Right. Right.
And these are lessons that I learned, and I'm kind
Mhm.
of asking the fans and the people that might like to listen to my music, have you felt it too?
Mhm.
Did you learn from it too?
Yeah.
And then we can go on the trip together
Amen. Right.
and become better people and freaking love one another
Yeah.
and just embrace each other because we're all humans.
Yeah. And not go to these crazy limits that are happening. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of prayers to go out to a lot of people who are missing people that they love because other people didn't know how to handle themselves. So it's rough. And one thing I always try to let me put this towards you too, just as a couple of buddies sitting here talking about stuff. A word that I always there's so many things that we've said over the years, right? They can change you. I could change them. They'll change me or whatever. But change isn't always the word that I'm looking for. Usually it's growth because you are who you are, right?
Yeah.
Chris, and there's great things about you, and why would you ever want to change? And so when somebody goes, you have to change, you're like, well, you love me, don't you? And they love me. Why would I want to change? I realize I have a problem here. I realize I'm
Yeah.
not doing something correctly. So maybe I need to grow in that direction. But why would I want to change? So that's, I think, using the word change, I think is one of those things where people are like, no, I don't want to change. They
Well,
love
that
me.
brings
You
up
love me.
that
Why are you
that
even
brings
talking to
up
me if you don't want to change? So,
another point in high level management meetings,
mm,
in corporations, big
mm,
box corporations. They train that there is a distinct and profound difference between change and transformation.
mm-hmm.
That um, change can be temporary, change can be backslid, change can be changed. But
Cracker Barrel.
if you trans bring the old man back.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have. Cracker Barrel. Sorry.
But if you transform, that's permanent development. It's permanent growth.
Yes.
Um, and
And it has
that's
time.
that's what I look like. Yeah,
Yeah. It gives
like
you time.
evolve.
Yeah. It doesn't call for a 180. It calls for a 10-degree turn now and again. And let's keep making the right turn a little bit every time, until you get to that point and you learn and grow to out of that bad habit or whatever it is that's
And that's
toxic, as we say.
specifically why in my lyrics and in Blackwood songs, um, you'll never hear anything. Um, you'll never hear anything political. You'll never hear anything, militarian.
Mm-hmm.
I like to keep any of our lyrics in our music strictly about just the human experience and the human condition because I don't want to be divisive in my music.
Right.
Um, I want my music to be where someone can listen to it and they can make the decision for themselves. I like this or
Mm-hmm.
I don't like this. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be well, I listened to this song and that was really good, but I can't listen to this band because they said this about this in this
Right.
other song.
Right.
There's too much divisiveness, in my opinion, to begin with. So just for me,
Right.
which I mean, obviously there's a lot of bands that are very successful that have political commentary all throughout. I mean, Megadeth spent 40 years plus
Really?
playing
Oh, huh.
highly charged political songs, and they're one of my favorite bands. It's
Same
just not a
here. Same
style.
here.
It's not a style that I can really conjure when I
Right.
sit down to write lyrics, and I'm listening to a track. Politics and war and global scale things like that, they're not on my
Right.
mind. I'm thinking about
Right.
personal experiences that somebody might be able to share with me.
Right. Well, and let's face it, when it comes down to what you write about, then it just comes down to certain things are um, similar in I don't know how I want to say it. Well, one thing could be a metaphor for another, right?
Yeah,
So you can not talk about politics, but you can talk about what it's doing in a different
yeah,
way. You know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
And
It,
that's
one's a
that's the
metaphor
thing.
for the
It's
other.
yes, it's you don't have to be so on the nose. And I think that if you want to be a Blackwood fan, or if you find something in our music that you like,
Right.
it's going to be a little bit more vague. Vague. It's going to be a little bit more up for interpretation because I whatever you feel, I just want you to be able to feel it. I just want us to come together over something, and whether it's our max reach is 3 people or
Mhm.
300,000 people. I don't care. I just want somebody to find some sort of meaning in what we did,
Yeah.
because like I said, we don't write throwaway songs. If it's on an EP or a record, it's there for a reason because it meant something to me, or it's a snapshot of a time from my life and or a
Right.
lesson that I learned.
Yep.
Um, and I'd like to bring at least 3 people together. Oh, there's 2 of us right here on this call. We just need
See,
one more.
there
Wait, no,
you
Rob's
go.
here.
And well, and a bass player and a guitar player. Maybe that would work. Great.
Yeah, yes.
If I was a little more local, I'd start working on your stuff and see if I could do that.
Heck yeah.
'Cause I'd love to back you up on vocals. That'd be great.
Hell yeah.
Be great, man. There's nothing like when you start learning to play, and the one blessing for me that I loved was when I learned to play, and then you're like, oh, I can sing at the same time. That's
Yeah.
cool. And you're like, that'll work. I like that. You know.
It took
But
a very long time. Of course, I started with one of the hardest ones to sing and play at the same time with Metallica, and I
mm-hmm.
didn't understand. I was like, "This is impossible. How does he do this?" So what I did, I had an old JVC karaoke machine because my mom and dad ran a little karaoke business on the side,
Oh wow.
and it had the ability to slow down the tracks to point five
Yes.
speed. So I would slow down the track to point five speed, and I would kind of just be like, all right, there's a guitar note, guitar note, guitar note, vocal note, and I would like slowly put the piece together until I could do it all at half speed, and then I would slowly work my way up.
That's it.
Interestingly enough, "Release Me" is probably the most difficult song that we've ever written for me to sing and play at the same time because
Wow.
during the pre-chorus, the guitar is not really in any way in line with the vocal
Yeah.
rhythm.
Yeah.
So I have
It's
to I have to I have to just kind of completely shut my brain off for
yeah.
good portions of that song and kind of just hope that I get through it.
It's a speedy. It's like whoa, okay, all right. It's like Frank Zappa tunes back in the day. Jeez whiz.
Yeah, and it's kind of an auditory um, metaphor of that feeling of
Hmm.
really just the introspective, quiet melancholy of wondering why the heck this relationship is the way it is, and then the explosive anger that comes out sometimes, where it's
Yeah.
just like something needs to change, and then it goes back to the calm, quiet, introspective.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I'm proud atmospherically of how that song turned because it's just I think it's really multi-layered. I think you get a lot out of it if you really if you really inspect it under a
Right.
microscope.
Well, and I think that's what's great about these kind of conversations. That's the kind of the reason I love to go through some of these is because I remember certain songs. I was like, yeah, I get it. And then they explain the song. I'm like, oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm totally in. So that's why I always love about these kind of conversations. It gives you a chance to really explore the songs a little bit more. And
And it's kind of hard too, because sometimes you don't really want to give away too much.
I know,
Because
right?
I've noticed sometimes people have the wildest interpretations of lyrics that I thought maybe were just directly on the nose.
Yes.
I was like, there's no way anybody could interpret this any way differently than what
No.
this is. It's
It's
right there,
plain,
and they'll be
son. It's
like,
black and
"Oh
white.
man, your one song about, I don't know, Ecuadorian troubles." I'm like, "Wait, where where did you get that from?" They're like, "Oh, that one." I'm like, "That's a song about a breakup."
Yeah. I wrote that when I was eating waffles. How does it? What?
Or like a great story, Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters talking about learning to fly is literally just a song about him getting his pilot's license.
Yeah. And it's metaphorical.
And everybody's like, this is such a great motivational song about,
Right.
picking yourself up by the bootstraps. He's like, no, I was learning to fly.
Yeah. It's really what it is. It's not
So
anything else.
sometimes you feel like you don't want to draw the curtain back, but I don't know. I'm too open about things. If I have an experience, I like to share the
That's
experience.
cool. Because I mean, there are some artists that I talk to on here where, you know, they don't want to discuss it too much because they want to leave it open for, interpretation. And I'm like, that's fine.
Yeah.
Whatever songs you want to talk about, whatever you don't want to talk about, that's fine too, because I get it. I get it, but still, like you said, still people either they maybe not retain the information you said,
Yeah.
and they'll be like, I don't know, I hear it as this. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Whatever you get out of it, that's awesome. As long as you're
And
getting something.
that's the cool thing. If it means something to you, I don't care what it means to you.
Right, right, yeah,
That's the coolest thing about music. You can write a song about whatever you want, and somebody might take it to some completely opposite level, but it still has such a deep meaning to them. And I
yeah,
think that's why, me personally, I want to know what the song's about to the artist. Even if I don't relate to it at all, I don't know
right,
if it's an empathy thing, but like, if it's a sad song, what happened to you?
right, right,
I want to know why so I can feel sad properly.
yeah. I want to be in your game, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
You're
remember
not
when.
letting me empathy right, dude.
Yeah, let me in.
But mad respect to the artists, that like to keep that veil over it, because it is
Yeah,
really cool, and it leads to a lot of cool conversations and speculation. In a way, that can grow your audience just in and of itself. You look at,
absolutely.
like the new bands like Sleep Token. They've
Yeah,
not released a damn thing about anything that they've done, and they've got books worth of lore that the fans have pieced together. So
yeah.
it's wild what music can do, and I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you are. I'm going to put this up one more time. Folks, there is the album. It's the 7-track EP called Release Me by Blackwood. Check it out. You're gonna love it. I love it. I mean, man, if like I say, if you're digging hard rock and you love a little bit heavier, you love like I say, the strong, passionate grinding vocal that's melodic still, then it's there. That's what you're gonna get, and it's really a great bunch of tracks with that cover of the Cult's Rise is amazing. It's really really good, really really good. Well, thank you very much. Anything you want to tell your
Well, thank
fans out there
you.
and everybody listening before we go?
Just hit us up on socials, man. We're on Facebook, Blackwood Music. We're on Instagram, TikTok. We're on all of them. Go to our
Very good.
website, blackwoodrock.com. Like I said, we're going to hit the ground running here in the next month or so. We're going to get some new music to you. Try to
Cool.
get some shows in the Tennessee area. Hopefully at the end of the year. If not, we're gonna start 2026 off with a bang. So stick around
Awesome.
for us. It's gonna be worth the wait.
Awesome. Now, are you guys looking forward to one last quick question? Are you guys looking forward
Yeah.
to stepping outside the country to do some gigs and stuff at all?
Oh, that would be phenomenal. That would be
Okay.
phenomenal. I think there's a heck of a lot of work to do before we can get to that point.
Okay.
Unless it was just a small run of shows somewhere where we could take, we all got full-time jobs.
Okay.
Um,
Gotcha.
I got 3 kids.
Yeah.
We're pretty anchored until, until we build this to a spot to where we don't have to have our full-time jobs
Right.
anymore, which we are viciously working towards.
Okay.
So we want to take it to wherever. I mean, we've got fans in Sweden, we've got fans in Mexico, we've got fans in Australia,
I was gonna say
starting to
this.
grow
Yeah.
and pop up here and there as we're looking at the analytics and the metrics all
Okay.
over the UK, some in Germany, but just it's just popping up, just little hits. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
so we're
Yeah.
we're we're going to be growing and we're going to be coming to you. But right now we're going to be headlong into the states surrounding Tennessee and maybe
Okay.
a couple states over, places that we could do maybe just an overnight stay and hit a couple shows on the way home,
Yeah.
things like that. But
Yeah.
we're here for it.
I'd love to see you guys up here in St. Louis area. That would be cool.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, let's work on that. Do you have a second to
Heck
hang
yeah.
tight for backstage
Yeah,
real quick? All right.
absolutely.
We'll do this out. Thank you very much, Chris. I really appreciate it.
Thank
Everybody,
you.
thank you for listening. Subscribe, like, and subscribe, man. That's the way we keep doing all this stuff. So just remember, have a great weekend. And I hope everything goes well for you. It's a little crazy here for me. Chris and I were talking about it a little earlier, but it's nothing I won't overcome and grow to be okay with. So before I get weird on myself here, thanks again, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Take it easy, and thanks again, Chris. We'll see you backstage.
Thank you.